Hey, 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 everybody. I am back from the land of the living after being down with COVID for the last 5 days, and I'm on the upswing, but it's so good to be here with you for the beginning of our celebration of Redemption Press's 8-year anniversary. So I want to just kind of give you the rundown of what we're going to be doing. Um, we have special guests, as we do every Thursday, from our Proclaim faculty, and She Writes for Him events. And then you are going to meet each day a best-selling Redemption Press author. I pretty much try to get one from each year. Our first year, as we went through growing as a company, then you're going to meet people from our team, from the Redemption Press team, each day of this 8-day celebration. And then we're going to give away prizes, giveaways, specials, and a bunch more. And to win, you have to comment in the chat and your name will be added to the spinner for prizes at the end. But let me just say, if you didn't click on that StreamYard link, then when you comment, all we know is you're a Facebook user. So you have to actually, if you didn't click on that StreamYard link so that we can see your profile and your name, then you'll need to put your name in when you make a comment, because we want people to be winning all the goodies that we're going to give away this week, because we love to give away books and training and all sorts of stuff. So that's just part of how we celebrate and how we party. And that is what we are doing this week, every day, 2:30 Pacific time, even including the weekend. We're doing 8 straight days until our big day next Thursday of our 8th birthday. So I am going to bring on Miss Yellow Girl, also known as Carol, who is our content creator and event coordinator, director, all things conferences, virtual and in person. She is going to join me here. There she is. And we are going to bring to you 2 of our faculty members for the Proclaim conference. We are super excited about these 2 ladies being with us. So, Carol, do you have anything you want to say before I introduce them formally?
No, it's just really good to be here. We are excited to be celebrating the 8th anniversary of Redemption Press. And so we're just excited what the next 8 days is going to hold as we come together at 2:30 every day Pacific time. So so we have 2 guests today. Both Judy and Rebecca are with us. And if you are part of the Proclaim conference, you can find out more information about it at shewritesandspeaks.com. So that's still available for you to sign up. And that way you can meet Judy and Rebecca both. And you're going to get to know them a little bit right now.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and introduce each of them. Do you want me to just introduce both of them and then we'll bring them up one at a time? All right. So I'm going to start with Judy Dunagan. She is an acquisitions editor for the women's line of books and Bible studies at Moody Publishers, one of our all-time favorite publishers. And she loves to equip aspiring authors. She is a wonder seeker of God and His Word. That must be why I love her so much. I am a wonder seeker too. Judy is passionate about discipling women and making God's word and prayer come alive in everyday life. Her book, The Loudest Roar, Living in the Unshakable Victory of Christ, releases September of this year, 2022. Judy and her husband, Rick, live in Colorado and are the joyful grandparents of 5 littles. Then we're going to have Rebecca George, who is the founder and visionary of Radical Radiance. That is a podcast community where listeners are equipped to blend what they love with Jesus, who makes them shine. I love that. She is a speaker, writer, certified career coach, and podcast interview coach. And her greatest joy in life is discipling others to pursue their passions in a way that builds the kingdom. She is also a project manager for the Blythe Daniel Literary Agency. Blythe is one of my favorite agents. And in her free time, you can find her running outside, writing, or trying a new recipe with Garth Brooks playing in the background. I love that. All right, ladies. Well, first, we're going to start with Judy. In fact, Carol, I just had COVID fog. Sorry. Carol,
Okay.
I'm going to let you take it from here with the questions. And
All right. Well, Judy and Rebecca, it's nice to have both of you with us today. Thank you for joining us. So, Judy, can you please tell our Proclaim attendees and all those who are listening what kinds of things you are going to be teaching on at the conference this February?
Yes, I'd love to do that. And hello, everyone. It's so much fun to be with you this afternoon. I'm going to be part of the pre-conference on Thursday afternoon. And the title of my session is For His Name's Sake. And we are going to be focusing on how to keep an eternal perspective in your publishing journey. You know, it's easy in the midst of all the equipping to build bigger platforms, seeking more followers, writing stunning proposals, to really lose sight of the reason we even want to write Christian books and Bible studies. And that it's about making his name known and discipling people through our writing or speaking. And so my hope and prayer is that I'll be encouraging those in the session to remember that their passion to write is part of God's call on your life, and that he will make a way. The journey may not look exactly like you had planned or hoped. I think sometimes when you go to writers conference, you can kind of feel like, ooh, I'm going to get a publishing contract, or I'm going to sign with an agent. And so it doesn't always look like you had planned or hoped. But I'm going to be speaking a lot about keeping that eternal perspective in the journey, and how that will make all the difference to combat fear, insecurity, and discouragement, which will come because it's not easy, is it, to write or to get published. I'll provide some practical tips as well for getting your proposal noticed by publishers and agents. There'll be a proposal checklist I'll give everyone, and we'll go through the most important components, at least that we look for at Moody in a proposal. And with that equipping, my heart is to encourage those who are there to maintain a heart of surrender to his perfect plan for you. We'll talk some about that surrender piece. And really, I love teaching on this. I have at other conferences in the past, the surrender piece, where I'll talk about how to surrender your dream to get published while still pursuing that dream. And again, my prayer is that this will be an encouragement and also practical in equipping you if you're able to be at that pre-conference. And then I'm also going to be giving a workshop or a session with one of our authors, Ashrita Chuchu, one of our best-selling authors, and so she'll be there. And really, we're just going to have a casual conversation about the realities of traditionally publishing a book. We'll talk about expectations and surprises, disappointments, and blessings in the process. And you'll really hear real talk on what it takes to bring a book from the idea you have to the manuscript to a bookstore shelf. And we, again, hope to give you practical ways to build your publishing team so that you never feel alone in the process. It's really a team effort. And we want you to bring your questions, and there'll be plenty of time for a Q&A with you. So that'll be with Ashrita. And then also in one of the main sessions, I'm going to be talking briefly about prayer. I have a passion for prayer. My new book coming out has a lot of focus on prayer. And my heart is to encourage you that really you have to saturate everything about your journey to publishing in prayer, and to keep be giving some practical ways to pray and really to hopefully revive your prayer life. That's my heart for that. So that was a lot of information, and hopefully you found it interesting.
That is wonderful, Judy. I cannot wait for your sessions. I love your intensive session on Thursday, because I think it is so important for us to realize why we are doing what we're doing, and that it's not for our name, but it's for his name alone. And so when I read through your notes for that, as I was putting things together, I'm excited for our people that get to listen to this and to hear what you have to say. And it's exciting because more than half of our signups are coming to the pre-session as well as the conference. So we'll have a lot of women there to speak to. And ladies, you will love Judy when you meet her. She's one of the most encouraging women I know. I know she has encouraged me on my journey that looked nothing like I thought it would, but God had such a better plan. And so thank you for being able to teach. And Rebecca, we would love to hear what you are going to lead at the conference. Now, Rebecca is super fun. You need to follow her on Instagram. She makes me laugh and just, I love watching her reels. So go after we're done here and follow her on Instagram so you meet her before you meet her.
Oh, it's so good to be with you ladies today and all of our attendees. I'm so excited about this event and just being together. I feel like it's been so long since we've done what we're going to do. So I'm so excited about that. And I am so thrilled about the two things I'm teaching on. The first one is lead magnets that will serve your audience and convert. So the reason both of those two things matter, one is I know if you are attending Proclaim, you have a message that God has put on your heart to share with the world. And you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what does that look like? How do I rally my people, especially in the day and age we're in right now? And what we know about this world, right, is social media could be swept out from underneath us tomorrow. We could lose our Instagram, we could lose our Facebook, and what would we have if all that was gone? We would have our email list where our people who are really invested in our work and want to hear from us and want to be encouraged by us, that's where they would do that, right? And so we want to talk about how do we build resources that will not only be interesting and people will be excited to sign up for so that you can get them on your email list, but also resources that will serve your people well, because that's why we're all here, right? We're here to encourage, we're here to edify, we're here to walk alongside our people. And so I'm really excited to talk about how to build something that will do just that. So that is the first one that I'm teaching that I'm really excited about. And then the other one is about podcast pitching. So as a podcaster myself, and as a person who has a book coming out next year and is kind of walking along this journey as well, I'm excited to share a little bit of knowledge on what makes a great pitch. How do we get ourselves on podcasts? How do we partner with a host in a way that will not only share your message, but also serve their audience, right? How do you make that connection point? You have a great message. They have people who are listening. And how do you kind of bridge that gap? And so I'm really excited about both of those super practical things that we can learn and we can take home and apply as we are taking steps forward. So I know, like I said, I know we're all walking into this event with hopes and dreams and prayers for how God's going to use our writing. And I just am so hopeful and prayerful that we can leave kind of feeling like us and you and God have kind of all stacked hands on, okay, how do we go home and take steps forward in that. So I'm excited that both of these will address that, I hope, really well.
Thank you, Rebecca. I love that it is very practical because we all need to take that next step. And so it will give us something that will really help us on our journey. So real quick, in maybe a minute or less, if you could give, and we'll start with Rebecca and then go back to Judy, just a word of encouragement to those that might be attending and those that are just listening about their journey as they are Christian communicators. So Rebecca, do you have a word for us?
I do. So I was thinking about this morning and praying. And, as I think about the two things that we're talking about, pitching yourself on podcasts, making lead magnets, some of these things might seem really intimidating or might seem like kind of icky, right? How do I promote what I'm doing without, we get weird about that, right? But at the end of the day, God has put a message on our hearts to share. And so with what we're going to learn at the conference, I'm just really excited. And hopefully, I just hope that you leave with confidence in, okay, I know what God's called me to teach on, or I know what my message is. And I feel like I have what I need to do this with confidence. Right. And so I'm really prayerful and hopeful that we can shed some of the, I don't want to, I don't want to feel awkward about sharing those things that kind of make us like start sweating a little bit. I hope we can just give a little bit more confidently to our people as we leave and we take steps forward. So that's my hope and my prayer.
So good. So good. And Judy, do you have a word for us before we leave?
Yes, but first I want to say, Rebecca, I'm so glad you're going to be there. I want to hear what you're going to share. I can benefit from everything you just said.
I'm excited to meet you too. This is going to be fun.
Thank you for that word of encouragement. One thing I always tell authors I meet with at writers' conferences, like when they're pitching their book idea or just at sessions, is my prayer is always that the Lord's voice will be the loudest over you. You're going to have a lot of voices, a lot of ideas, a lot of people speaking over you. And but may you hear from the Holy Spirit what he has for you, and to know that he is guiding you and that he goes before you and behind you. One of my favorite verses is in Psalm 139 that talks about his hemming us in from behind and before. So he's already there in February. He knows who you're going to meet. He knows what sessions you're going to be at. And just really think of it as just a partnership with him, a chance to almost like a dance with him. This is a really exciting time in your life, and just anticipate great things. The team at Proclaim, these women love you, love all of us. They work so hard. They're so gifted. I love Redemption Press and what they're doing. And it's just going to be a joy to be there. So, and also know we're all praying for you as you prepare to come and for our time together.
Well, thank you for your words of encouragement, and thank you for being with us today. We cannot wait until February to all be in the same place and just hug each other and just pour into the lives of the women that God gives us at this event. So you can still register at shewritesandspeaks.com. It's not too late. We would love to have you there. So Athena, do you have a word to close this out with this portion?
Just that we were very strategic on choosing women that really, you don't necessarily see them at all the other conferences. We wanted some content that would be fresh, that would be unique, that would really be equipping on a number of levels and places where we're at in our journeys. So I'm just so excited at both Judy and Becky, what you're bringing to the table. It's just going to be amazing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. So I am going to allow Athena now to introduce our next guest.
All right. Well, Dean Davis was really one of our very first authors when Redemption Press got started. And he is a retired pastor and director of Come Let Us Reason, a Bible teaching ministry specializing in apologetics and worldview studies. He is the author of several books, including The High King of Heaven, Discovering the Master Keys to the Great End Time Debate. He lives with his wife, Linda, in Santa Rosa, California. And Dean, it is just a delight to have you with us. Let's see if Carol's going to bring you on screen. There we go. Thanks for being with us today, Dean. It's just a delight to have you.
Well, it's a great pleasure. And it's an honor to be among your first customers years ago.
Yes. Well, you know, what have you seen God do with the message of your book in print since publishing with Redemption Press? Now, I know because you were with my former company and you kind of got your start there, but we kind of gave you a restart in 2014. Tell us what that's looked like since 2014.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm extremely grateful that the books that I previously published were able to be preserved. That was very important to me. Yeah. And I'm sure you will be sharing about your journey back into publishing after a time away. And I was very grateful for that. Athena and I have a mutual friend, Nick Harrison, and he encouraged me to touch base with Athena, and I have never regretted it. I probably have 5 or 6 books. There's one in the oven right now, and they're all Redemption Press, and I've been very, very comfortable with our relationship. the book that you're referencing, The High King of Heaven, I thought I better tell you just a teensy bit about it, and then I'll tell you whatever effect that I'm aware of. The message of the High King of Heaven is actually pretty simple. It's a defense of what theologians refer to as amillennialism or amillennial eschatology. Well, those are rather big and intimidating words, I'm sure, but the essential message of the book, which I defend in 740 pages in order to turn over every possible stone, is that the Lord Jesus Christ will return once at the end of the age, and he will raise the dead and transform the living, and he will judge the world in righteousness, destroy this old groaning universe by fire, and then create new heavens and a new earth. This used to be the default eschatology of the Protestant movement, but over the last 150 years, there's been a huge explosion of different points of view, hence the 740 pages. So what I tried to do was to, first of all, interact with the subject and defend my thesis, and then I wanted very lovingly to critique the other points of view. And I feel that the thing that the book is uniquely contributes to the discussion, most amillenarians have trouble with the Old Testament. A lot of those Old Testament prophecies sure look a lot like when it's all over, Israel will be dwelling in Palestine, and there will be a big temple, and there will be priests and sacrifices and so forth. And I'm trying to understand how God meant us to understand those things. And so probably a quarter of the book, maybe even as much as a third, goes into those Old Testament prophecies. The other portion of the book that I think is kind of a new, makes a good contribution, is my discussion of the Revelation. And I do a survey of the entire book, and I try to defend the idea that the 1,000 years of Revelation 20 symbolize the period of time between the first coming of Christ and the second, so that when it's all over, he comes again once, which is very thrilling to me. And these days, when the world is getting pretty strange, people have a great curiosity about how it's all going to wrap up. I have some convictions about it, and so I wanted to share them. As far as the impact of the book, I have a very light touch on promotion and publication. I pretty much leave that to Amazon and a little bit to you guys at Redemption Press. But I have received some very favorable reviews at Amazon.com for The High King of Heaven. I get, every so often, I'll get emails from people telling me how much they appreciated the book. I occasionally have radio interviews and so forth. And so in different ways, the message is getting out there. One thing that I'm very happy about is that Redemption Press made it possible for me to do an ebook or a Kindle book. And I just charged $2.99 for the book because I want it to be read. And a lot of people buy that little $2.99 book. You'd be surprised how well that sells. So I think the impact has been good, and I'm very grateful.
And if I remember right, and I don't remember which year it was, Christianity Today listed that book in the top 50 books of the year that they choose. Do you remember if that was High King of Heaven, right?
That would be the book most likely to get some attention. If that's true, I would be thrilled.
I remember seeing it, and I was like, woohoo, one of our authors was chosen.
Are you sure it was Christianity Today?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to have to look that up. To be honest with you, I don't read Christianity Today very much. I choose some other journals. Yep. I was very happy, though, that Dr. Sam Storms, who is quite a famous theologian, he said it was his second favorite book of the year that year, and wow. Fellow amillenarian, very grateful, and his endorsement made a big difference.
Right. I love that. Well, Dean, you have always been a joy to work with. You've always just been very gracious, even when, we've gone through our times where we've been slower than normal and faster than normal. And you've done a Bible translation with us. You've done so many different, not just fluffy. I mean, nothing that you've done has been fluffy. It's all been very meaty and well thought out and well analyzed, and just with a lot of grace. So I want to thank you for that.
No, you're very, very welcome. I can't tell you how easy it is to work with the Redemption Press family. I was thinking today, I never saw so many emojis and exclamation points from all the gals who write me back. They're just so cheerful and full of joy. So I have found that not being a famous theologian, having no platform, quote unquote, I have found that it's very cost effective to publish my own books. I have not found that the pricing was onerous in any way, and I'm very grateful for what you've done for my calling in life. Thank you.
Well, it has been a delight to be able to do that with you. So thank you for being with us today, Dean. We're going to give away a copy of your book at the end of the program. So I'm excited for someone else to get a copy of High King of Heaven and thoughtfully go through it, because that's a definite commitment at 740 pages. But
if they can't finish the book, they can use it as a doorstop.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dean. I think we are moving into our, let's see. I know I've got the next thing to do. Oh, yes. I get to bring on our editorial department, because part of a different segment or section. You can't smush those two words together, but I just did. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes each day during this 8 days for you all to meet a different department in Redemption Press. Today is our editorial department, and yay, my fellow COVID fighter made it. Dory and I are both struggling with COVID. So I'm just saying, praise the Lord, I got it now and not in 3 weeks when we're supposed to be in North Carolina. That's what I'm saying. But ladies, I am just would love to have you. Well, you know what? I probably should look at the notes and make sure I'm asking you the right questions. First of all, we have Dory Harrell, who is our managing editor, and Jody Harris, who is our assistant editor. She assists Dory in all of her work and helps to hold her arms up, which is a very important part. And let's just start with, where are you from? Tell us something unique about yourself. And Dory, let's start with you.
Well, I am from the great state of Washington. I live on the good east side of the state that hardly gets any rain. Well, a lot of people don't know that about Washington State. I'm still dealing with COVID. And some unique fact about me is that I love licorice, and I'm very disappointed I don't have any in my hand right now.
Well, there you go. Jody, how about you? Where are you from? And tell us something unique about yourself.
I currently live in Denver, Colorado. Just moved back here. Was in California for many years, both Northern and Southern California. Something unique about me is that I come from a family that church planted, and that church is still going today. And I was also a church planter myself with my husband. We planted about 20 years ago. And so I just have a really deep passion for the church and all things ministry in the various ways and serving the church. So that's something unique.
That is unique. All right. So let's start back with Dory. What's your role at Redemption Press, and what specifically do you like about what you get to do every day with Redemption Press authors?
I am the managing editor at Redemption Press, and so I lead a team of 35 plus editors and coaches, and I work closely with Jody every day, and plus a multitude of authors. And I think one of the favorite aspects of working with the authors is the ability to mentor them. To mentor them in their writing, to mentor them in their storytelling, also to kind of mentor them through the editing process. And if you've never been edited, it's an experience. So the first time I received my own content edit, well, I cried. and my husband said to me these exact words, "This is what you do to authors every day. Suck it up." Yep, those were his exact words. Suck it up and do the work. And I had to shake it off and do the work. And do you think I'm not grateful to her every day for that edit that she delivered? So when I deliver content edits to the authors, I know exactly how they feel. I know exactly what's in their heart at that moment. And I know that it can be hard, but I also know that the editor has delivered what they need to take that book to the next level. So in addition to mentoring them in the storytelling process, I also get the opportunity to mentor them through the editing process. And it's a big deal. If you want to publish professionally, editing is a huge aspect of that, of being what we might call a real author. And we at Redemption Press, we work only with highly experienced coaches, editors, and proofreaders. And so that's a real joy too, because that's the other side of what I get to do, is I get to mentor editors and copywriters every day.
Well, and the one thing that I love about what we've done because you've been with us 3 years, going on
3.5 years now.
3.5 years. Okay. Most companies do not have someone with that kind of heart that helps an author understand what was just done, what's being recommended. I mean, normally there's hands-off policy. Your manuscript goes in, you have nothing to say about it. Your manuscript comes back. Too bad, so sad. That's the way it is. It's done. And what I love is that you add that personal touch and that real warmth and dedication to the author and their story and their mission. That's completely unique in the publishing process, in this kind of, in hybrid publishing or self-publishing or anything like that. What you do is amazing, Jordan.
I love that Redemption Press has a managing editor. I love that Redemption Press cares enough about the authors to provide this position for them. And this process of taking a book to publication, there is no bigger portion of the process than the editing process. And to think of an author just being left cold on their own, I mean, I can't even imagine. It'd be a hard thing. And at Redemption Press, it's an entire team. So even though I didn't edit the book, no edit is returned to an author without me previewing it.
Yeah.
And that's what's lacking with other companies too. We have a whole internal review process for the coaching and for the editing. And when editors have questions, they have a place to go. They don't just have to try to figure it all out by themselves. And we consult a lot on the manuscripts. And even at the coaching level, they'll say, hey, I'm really struggling to brainstorm with an author over this. Do you have any insights you could offer?
And that you jump in. Yeah.
Yep. I will sit down with the coach and we'll discuss the project and we'll brainstorm ourselves so that then they can go back to the author with some fresh ideas. And so I think this is a unique offering that Redemption Press really brings to the table for the hybrid publishing model.
Amen. Thank you, my friend. So, Miss Jody, tell us just a little bit about what makes your day in your day-to-day work at Redemption Press.
I definitely echo what Dory's saying. When you're working with the authors, just the joy of getting to mentor and encourage them, because as a writer, it can be super discouraging to see the red marks. I was an English teacher for years, and I always felt bad about those red marks, but how can you see those as growing and teaching moments can be really difficult. But both Dory and I are authors, and so I think we bring an empathy to the table, that because we've also been on the other side of the pen and have been able to say, okay, we've been through this experience. We empathize with seeing all these marks. How can we help you move forward? And just kind of knowing what maybe some of those feelings are to encourage them through it. And so it is such a joy to be able to work and encourage the authors through Zoom calls, whether it's, phone calls, texting, all of the ways that we can just be checking in throughout the whole process. There's never a sense where they can't contact us. It's not, oh, I have no idea where my book is in the process. They can check in with us at any time. And so I love that personal experience with them. So a lot of what I do is kind of on the end of things, as far as just getting it ready for typeset, making sure all the proofing marks and it's all ready to go, and we make it the best that we can make it for them. And so I love being involved in that.
And I love also how you jump in. You're our designated go-to person if someone's having issues with how to open a PDF or download it or understand track changes, all of that technology stuff. You're like that mama bear that takes them and walks them through that piece that sometimes is intimidating.
Exactly. And maybe it's very simple, but we get super intimidated, and it just, you need that person to come alongside. So I really love that we have the opportunity to do that for our authors.
And well, ladies, thank you for joining us on this day one of our 8-year celebration. It was great to have you here, and we will.
Thank you, Athena.
Later. Yes. Mwah. Love y'all. All right. So I am going to wrap up our time together with a little backstory on just my 35 years in the industry, and kind of little pieces each day leading up to Redemption Press. So today what I want to do is just tell you a few stories from me getting started in publishing, and then the first company that I founded, which was the beginning of my publishing journey. In 1986, I had an experience in ministry. We were ministering to Vietnam veterans and their family members, and my husband at the time, who was the executive director of the ministry called Point Man Ministries, wrote a book on PTSD for the layman to read, for the wives and the veterans to understand what that PTSD thing was. That was back in the day when it wasn't a word. And we couldn't get anybody to publish it. And turned out it really wasn't ready for publication and needed a complete, utter rewrite. But because we were rejected by a number of big publishers, we found someone that could help us just one stop, do everything. The guy was able to rewrite the book, get the cover designed, get the layout designed, do all of the editing and proofing and printing and ISBN number, all the stuff that we didn't know what we didn't know. So it was just like, we just needed books. And that book came out in 1986. And by 1988, we'd gone through 10,000 copies, and Multnomah Press bought the rights and picked up and then republished it, which was a successful self-publishing experience. Did we have that in mind when we raised the money? Actually, we didn't raise the money. God dropped it in our laps to print those first 10,000 books. But those books, basically, we just knew we needed this for the ministry. So we'd have books wherever we went to be able to help these veterans and their wives. And did we have a plan that it was going to get picked up by a major publisher? No. We just were doing like the next thing, whatever we could do. And so from that, people started asking, well, can you help me with my book? I'm like, well, I guess we just went through this process. We know what it takes. And so that's how Wine Press was started. I co-founded Wine Press, and it was the credibility that we had at that point, early 90s, like 1990, 91. At that point, there were no credible, legitimate, any company that did anything like what we were doing, where we actually had authors get editing and have a professional looking cover and do, actually go into distribution so that it could be through the available to the bookstores. All of that back then, 35, 36 years ago, that was unique. So we very quickly gained a lot of traction and a lot of credibility and a lot of respect within the industry. And most people that we were meeting with didn't have what traditional publishers were looking for. Even back then, the platform word wasn't a word because this was before the internet, but they were looking for big names. And so we had a number of people that, we realized, okay, these publishers that are out there rejecting people, even though they might have something worth saying and worth ministering to others with, but they were getting rejection letters and rejection letters. That was the way it was back then. You sent in your manuscript, you got a rejection letter in the mail. So we had an editor with a big publishing house say, you know what, if you gave me some brochures, I would stick them in every rejection letter because I love what you're doing. I trust you guys. Let me do that. So we created this beautiful 8-panel brochure that shared the story of that first book and of all the services that we offered, beautiful in color. And we printed 10,000 of them. And we were going to send them out. And we did. We sent them out like big packets of 100 each to all these editors all across the country who had asked for them. And one editor found, there's a funny story, but it's a true story. This one editor said, well, I got your beautiful brochures. They're just lovely. But did you know, like, there's a typo in it? I'm like, no way. And as I looked back, I found that the designer had taken upon himself to change the way that we spelled the word grammar. He thought it was ER instead of AR. And so he just changed that. And so here I am, foot in mouth, completely embarrassed that we just sent out 10,000 brochures that had a typo in it, and we're a publisher. And it was so great. The one editor that brought it to my attention, she said, well, you know what we always say in publishing, most people try and hide their mistakes. We publish ours. And we had a great laugh. And, I went back and printed 10,000 more and sent them out. But I'll never forget that. That was like, you know what? We have to be able to laugh at ourselves. And I had a great experience doing that very early on. And that was a good thing for me. So we just continued to be invited into all of the most reputable Christian writers conferences. They asked me to be on faculty at everything from Mount Hermon to Blue Ridge to Right to Publish to Sandy Cove to Oregon Christian Writers to Florida Christian Writers. I mean, I spoke at literally, probably 75% of the most well-known and well-respected Christian writers conferences across the country. Some of them wouldn't because I was on the West Coast. Some of them, only pulled from their areas. But I mean, it was amazing, the favor that we had. And the way I look at it, Wine Press was a God idea. No question about it, because you can't just make that stuff up. I mean, it wasn't like I had the idea that we were going to get self-published and we were going to prove ourselves to a publisher so that a publisher would pick us up. God did that. But that was a time in our lives where I still had some stuff in my own personal life that needed some healing. So what ended up happening was Wine Press was a God idea that ended up getting hijacked by the enemy. And on April 1st, well, you know what? I'm gonna put a pin in that and go, okay, we're gonna stop there, because you're gonna hear as we go along that Redemption Press was definitely the restoration of that God idea, but Wine Press was a God idea that literally got hijacked by the enemy, and still blows my mind today that God could, even with all of that, that he could do all of that he's done. So that is my little piece of the backstory of Redemption Press. So I'm going to wrap that up and have Carol come back so we can give some stuff away.
Yay, we love giving stuff away.
Yes, we do.
All right. So we have 2 giveaways today. Now, at the end of the week, so at the end of the 8 days, we're going to give away some pretty amazing prizes as well. So just stick with us all week, because every single day we're going to be giving things away, and we might throw something extra in on one of the days, but just you can enter the drawing by commenting. So those of you who have commented before I got the spinner done, you were able to be in the drawing today. So I'm going to go ahead and share that screen. And I don't know why it's blurry, but it is. Huh. Oh, well, I'll just spin it anyways.
All right. And what are we giving away first?
Sorry. Yeah. So we're giving away Dean Davis's book, High King of Heaven. And I actually don't have a copy of that to show, but you could go to the Redemption Press bookstore and see what that looks like and get your own copy if you would like. So I'm going to click to spin. I promise you all your names are on it, even though for some reason it's not showing. And the winner is Cody Howe.
Woo! We're going to see her at Proclaim.
Yay. So Jody Howe
extraordinaire. Woohoo!
High King of Heaven. All right. And then the next book we have, I actually have a copy here at my desk. Full Circle by Athena. So she's telling part of her story, but seriously, this book is so good. I read it in like a couple hours. Couldn't put it down. So, so I'm going to do another spinner. Here we go. And the winner is Norma Jean McLagan.
McLagan. Nice.
Norma Jean.
Norma Jean. Woohoo.
All right. All right. So if you want a book, you could message me in Facebook Messenger your address. I will make sure that you get a copy of that book. So remove the screen share. And then Athena, we have some specials, and we have a publishing special that we are starting today through January 31st. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
You betcha. We are, because this is our 8-year anniversary, we are offering a publishing special. That's if you sign a contract to go through the whole process with us. Doesn't mean you have to turn your manuscript in now. Doesn't mean you have to be even ready to start. But if you want to go ahead and sign that to lock in this special that we're offering, it's going to be an 18% off special, which is pretty significant. And that is something that if it's done before the end of January, you can take advantage of that 18% off. And we are also doing a Proclaim special. Carol, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, since we had our Proclaim guests on today, so every single day we're also going to be offering a special for whatever we are talking about that Redemption Press and She Writes for Him does. And so today we talked about Proclaim. So we are actually, for a limited time, bringing back our early bird special for the next week of these 8 days that you can sign up for Proclaim and get it for $347, plus all of our faculty have put together a bunch of content. It can be books and Bible studies, devotionals, journals, all kinds of things, video trainings. And so we will send you all of that content as well if you sign up. And you can do so by signing up at shewritesandspeaks.com and use the code word challenge.
So you go into shewritesandspeaks.com, you say, I want to register, you fill it all in, and then you put challenge, all uppercase, in the coupon code, right?
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
And you don't want to miss Proclaim. The registrations are coming in pretty fast in the last 2 weeks. We've had quite a few. So it's not too late to register.
It's going to be one of those, it's an inaugural event, and you would not want to miss it. And we are not doing any live streaming from there. You got to be there to get it. And we are super excited about that. So I just feel weird to be on a Facebook Live like this and not say hi to everybody. So Laura Davies, nice to see you. Stacy, good to see you. And Teresa, I always know you'll be here. Jody, so good to see you. Win. Jean Hartman, nice to see you. And thank you for praying for my healing. God is answering those prayers. I cannot tell you how good I feel. Andrea, nice to see you. And let's see, Laura Davies. Did I already say? Yep, I did. Hey. And let's see, Connie Viner, nice to see you. Or Viner, I'm sorry. Ann Griffiths, nice to see you. One of our also, like Dean, was with my original company and has now come over to Redemption Press, one of our authors. We love you. Janice Triplet, nice to have you here. And Valerie, nice to see you. I am feeling better. Thank you. And let's see, Janet McHenry, nice to see you, my friend. Karen Bartlett, yay. I heard I'm going to see you at Proclaim. Yay. Kathy Swift, nice to see you, my friend. And Christine, we're going to have you with us next Thursday on as one of our best-selling Redemption Press authors. And let's see, Jolynn, hello. And Terry Kempf, nice to see you. Missy Linkletter, good to see you, my friend. And Patty Wells Davis, excited for you to be there. And Lisa Betts, nice. Will be good to see you there too. And we see who else. Dana Roush, nice to see you. And Miss Tammy Whitehurst, who is going to be my co-host, co-MC during the Proclaim. We are going to have some fun together. And let's see, who else did I miss? Jackie Cambish, nice to see you. And Liz Holtzman, hey, my friend. Yes, I'm a Dory fan too. Amy Harden, nice to see you. And Norma Jean, nice to see you. And is that it? Deb Gorman. Hey, Deb. Tracy, nice to see you. And Jean Johnson, nice to see you. Linda Moore, hey. Thanks for all your shout outs. Love that. All right, I think that's everyone. Normally, when I do my Facebook Lives, I'm like saying hi to everyone all the way through, but this format doesn't make it easy to do that. So we're not normally going to go 53 minutes, just so you know. We're going to try and keep these to 30 minutes, except for the one next Thursday will definitely be longer.
For sure. It was fun today, though.
It was. And it feels good to be, it feels good to just be normal.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. I missed you.
Yes. Well, I missed everybody. So thank you all for being with us today. Let me pray. And anything else we need to say?
I think that's it. We'll just be back tomorrow at 2:30 Pacific time right here on all of these different channels. So
wonderful. Lord, thank you so much for breath in our lungs, for life, for your goodness, for your grace, and just for this opportunity to celebrate the 8 years that you have been doing amazing things in this mission of Redemption Press, and She Writes for Him. Thanks for that, and just pray a blessing over everyone that's here right now, those who watch later, the whole team at Redemption Press and She Writes, and all of our editors and vendors and printers and cover designers and all coaches, all of the different players and all the different pieces that all fit together so perfectly. Thank you, Lord. Yeah, we just give you the rest of this evening in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody. Mwah. Love you all. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.